Hi, and welcome to Our Sacred Journeys. My name is Reverend Donna, and I am looking forward to sharing a message with you this week on the movie Frozen. This month, I am focusing all of the messages, all of the lessons on the movies Frozen and Frozen 2, and how I feel that they have a spiritual overtone to them that give us meaning and purpose and maybe another connection to life and to a higher power, to God. I also wanted to acknowledge that this week in the pagan tradition, in the Celtic tradition, is the holiday or the festival called Imbolc. And Imbolc is about the honoring the goddess Bridget. And its main focus of this festival is to celebrate new beginnings through fire and honoring the end of winter. We're in the middle of winter, so we'll be ending winter and we'll be entering into spring in the next few months. So I kind of wanted to tie in Imbolc with Frozen in the first part of the movie because we are talking about a journey. We're talking about a journey out of winter and into spring, out of fear sometimes, and into a new beginning. And when we think about the first part of the movie Frozen, we're reminded that Elsa comes to realize she has a superpower. She can freeze things, she can create ice and snow. And she and her sister Anna, the story is about two sisters, Elsa and Anna, and their journey together and apart, because in early on in the movie, Elsa accidentally hurts Anna, and they are taken to the trolls, where all memory of magic and what happened between Elsa and Anna are removed from Anna's memory, which then causes Elsa to have some fear. She is afraid of hurting her sister again. She's afraid of hurting her parents, of hurting anybody. So she starts to isolate herself. And Anna doesn't understand why, because that part of her memory has been erased. So throughout the first part of the movie, we come to realize how Anna is afraid. Elsa is afraid, and Anna is uncertain. She's confused. She doesn't understand why her best friend isn't talking to her anymore because they were so close. So with Elsa, as she's realizing she has this power within her that can hurt people, she is encouraged to hide it. She's encouraged to conceal it. She's encouraged to have that fear of hurting people is kind of instilled in her, whether it's implied through other people's actions and words or in her own self-doubt and her own fear. We I like to think about it for us when we are uncomfortable about something, when we are afraid or afraid of being vulnerable, because when Elsa's vulnerable and she's scared is when she starts to conjure up the ice and the snow, if you think about it, throughout the movie. And so she's taught that fear is your enemy. She is taught to conceal, not feel, because when she feels, and if it's something other than certain emotions, that's when sometimes things happen. But it also happened in the movie when she was happy, when her and Anna were playing and creating, building a snowman, building Olaf, and they're having fun. She was still able to conjure that up. But because of that experience, her sister got hurt. So she's really kind of afraid to feel. So she isolates herself. And I wonder how often we isolate ourselves when we're feeling fear, when we're feeling scared, when we're afraid to be vulnerable about something, we tend to withdraw. And wintertime can sometimes be that time for us to withdraw and reflect. And that's in a positive light. But what happens when we withdraw in a negative way, meaning we cut ourselves off from that divine source? We cut ourselves off from the light, that love, that peace, that joy that is spirit, and in connecting with one another. I know during this time, we're isolating ourselves more with pandemic, with COVID. And instead of finding ways to reach out, I wonder sometimes how that's affecting our spiritual journey. And there's one part in the movie when Elsa has gotten scared and was pushed, the town finds out about her powers and she isolates to an ice palace. And her sister goes after her to find out what's going on, where the rest of the town and the rest of the people that had come to visit for the coronation are scared. Anna wants to reach out to her sister. And in doing so, she gets hurt. Because if you remember in the beginning of the film, the troll, Grandpappy, says, it's good that it happened in her head. I can fix that. But if it happens to her heart, that's harder. And we'll talk more about that next week. But in that part of the movie where she goes to the trolls again, Kristoff takes her to the trolls, even though she has no memory of it. This is the second time she's seeing the trolls. The trolls have a lyric in the song that they say, and it goes like this: people make bad choices if they're mad or scared or stressed, but throw a little love their way and you'll bring out their best. So I wonder what would happen if we would give a little love, show a little love, and see how that might affect our relationships or affect our relationship with ourselves. A little self-love. We're also in the month of February, and it's all about love, not just romantic love, but self-love and self-care. So I wonder what it would look like if we did express a little more love towards maybe those we are uncomfortable with or ourselves, if we're in fear of being vulnerable. Because Joseph Campbell also says, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. So maybe in this time of winter, we can enter into that cave within, because sometimes we're afraid to go within and see how we're feeling, get to know who we are. But I'm wondering if we can enter into that cave during these last few weeks of winter, what treasures we might discover in order to experience transformation in the coming weeks leading up to spring, which is all about new beginnings. So I'm going to encourage you to think about this question as we think about journeying out of fear and stepping into the light. What happens when we remember who we are? What happens when we step into that higher truth of who we are? And next week, we'll explore the second half of the movie, and we'll talk about revealing truth and what that means from a spiritual perspective. May you enjoy this week. May you treat yourself with love and recognize the light that you are, that's within you, that wants to reflect out into the world. And I'm grateful for this time together. And I'll close in prayer. Absolutely recognizing and knowing there's only God, there's only light, love, peace, and joy. In the midst of fear, in the midst of vulnerability, I recognize and know there's a seed of the divine. That I recognize and know that as I am one in God, I know this is the truth of each and every one of us. May we step out into that light with joy, with love, with wisdom. And in doing so, may we have entered the cave within to do our spiritual work on our spiritual journey. May we feel and sense and know that we are guided by the divine in every action, every thought, every moment. Because I recognize and know that this is a God moment right here, right now. As I celebrate and honor this truth, I say thank you, Spirit. Thank you for the higher idea unfolding. Thank you for the love that is within me that I reflect and radiate out into our world. May we be all enfolded in the love and light of peace of Spirit in this moment. I say thank you, God, as I release my word into the law. I let go and I let it be, and so it is. Namaste.